The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Subaru Productions.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another Tokutalk.
Hello everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to the first in the part of a series that we will be doing where we will be talking about the music of Tokusatsu beginning...
What happened?
What happened?
We will be doing.
Yeah, it's like you got drunk halfway through.
My lips got glued together halfway through the sentence, so... Sorry about that.
I'm very familiar with that ailment.
Anyway...
We're talking about openings.
Opening theme songs.
Yeah, we are. Anyway.
Are you okay?
Never. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, to begin with, what is it that makes a good opening theme song, and what is the purpose? Are the first things I would like to discuss. So we'll pass it around the table, beginning with Matt. What do you think makes a good opening theme song?
A good opening theme song needs to be high energy and get you hyped for the show you're about to watch. It is literally the hype man for the series.
Okay.
Yes, it is the Flavor Flav, you would say.
No,
for the series.
I would not. Ever.
But he was the hype man, a Public Enemy.
I don't give a shit.
I didn't make the rules. But yeah, I feel like it also has to have, at least lyric-wise, it has to have something with the actual show, so you don't just have to go and, at least for a lot of Toku ones, just say the name of the thing in the song. Mm-hmm. Just like, we get the feeling of the song from the actual lyrics of it.
So as opposed to like Go-Go Power Rangers, where it's just that over and over again?
But that song was great, though.
Was. Tired of hearing it.
Okay. The original is still great.
It's that 90s butt rock that we all love hearing.
Exactly.
You never heard that term?
No.
Rock that came out of somebody's butt.
Okay.
But you still kind of like it.
Anyway.
All right. Well, moving on. Jacob.
For me, an opening theme song, regardless of what show you're doing, is something that needs to set the stage. I don't think it needs to be high energy. I don't think it needs to be... It needs to set the tone and set the stage for what it is you're about to watch.
That's the thing. That's a good one.
That's
Setting
fair.
tone. Setting tone is the main thing.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
Because
but most Kamen Riders seem to be, because they're, action oriented at its core.
Yeah.
So I went to high energy. You got to get ready for the action.
Like playing around within the Toku genre, especially, I would say yes. That considering the nature of the subject we're dealing with, they tend to be that more. But then I also think about something like Garo VR, where it's just like an ominous like rock instrumental score,
which really does suit the tone of the series itself.
It suits the tone of the series. I also think the visuals, how they give us, a lot of times we'll get like little snippets of the characters. We'll get like a shot of them doing something out of suit, a shot of them doing something in suit, a couple shots of the villains, some action shots, bit of business. There is a formula to it. Doesn't mean you have to follow it. Doesn't mean it makes it good. But yes.
Yeah. It's sort of like, weirdly enough, just going off of, like, because this is why I sort of like having the lyrics matter more in some cases. I like the Power Rangers RPM one, but I know it's trash. I know it's garbage. Because it doesn't...
I wouldn't call it trash. I would call it below average.
But it doesn't have anything to, like, especially the lyrics don't have anything to do with the situation that they're in. Other than Dr. K's spiel at the beginning, but, like, the actual song has nothing to do with just get in gear, we stand together.
Power Rangers, RPM.
Generic platitude here. that's really what it ends up burning
Let
down
me just
to.
lift this from my uncle's graduation speech.
Exactly. That's what
go.
that one is. But the tone of this, like, the actual song is very bombastic. And I appreciate that because it does go with the tone.
That's a $300 word if I've ever heard one.
It has the word explosive in it. Bomb, but explosive.
Anyway,
I would say the antithesis of something like that would be something like the Dino Charge opening, where the lyrics actually do have to do with what's going on.
Yeah. In a world full of strife, we must fight to survive.
Try to break the chain that divides.
You know what still my favorite one is, simply because it does well for tone and lyrics? Decades.
Okay.
Gak does amazing. Plus, I believe he actually wrote that. And he doesn't say, like, Kamen Rider Decade. He works the word decade.
Journey through the decade.
Yeah. So, like, I feel like, especially when you could do something like that where it's a lot more clever, it works as a whole, especially because the way that he sets up that tone and the way that, you know, the strings and everything come in, it's a very somber song, but it's a somber show. Like, it's a mystery, and there's a lot of death and destruction going on behind that. Yep. So I appreciate that one, I think, probably the most.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of, trying to remember the O's lyrics, see if they went in.
Count the medals 1, 2, and 3.
Other than that,
that's the
life goes on, anything goes. Coming up O's. But that's, I mean, I would put that as an example of one of my favorites. Of that really captures the choice of ska for the opening, just those blasting horns. I want to use that word bombastic again. But
speaking of ska, we'll be talking about that in a couple weeks on Saber's first impression. So,
was the opening theme song?
Yeah, there are issues.
Oh,
I haven't heard the opening yet.
It was.
I thought you were going to say there was ska in it. I got excited.
No, it is. It is. It's ska based, but was it in the first
episode?
In the first fight.
Like I wasn't paying attention to the music.
W's.
Excuse me.
I
don't really like the W one that much, but I know you do.
I love that one.
I like the W opening because it's catchy. It really does it really gives that, I don't want to say sets the tone, but it definitely gives that feeling of a detective story.
And it also tells you a lot about what the story is about. It's like we're both body and soul.
Yeah.
Because that's, you know, what
ties into what W is about.
Yeah, that's like what the writer is. It's two people in one. Mm-hmm. And I love the way that they end up setting that up. It's like, it's weirdly enough, it's like, I think Decades and W's are two of the most concise to the actual show that they are representing. Mm-hmm. So I think they worked the best.
Yeah.
Overall. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Definitely not Ghost. But I'm trying to think of some other ones.
Is one we always really like. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It definitely...
As far as the lyrics, I mean, like, survival, you gotta move. It's just like a Sengoku war.
Yeah, but that's not what we got in the show, really.
I would disagree.
No, it's a very good song, and it's definitely above average in terms of, you know, the lyrics, the tone that it sets, and all that.
A moment while Marcus looks up X-Aids.
Yeah, I have the X-Aid lyrics up just so I make sure that I, you know, have it. Mm-hmm. I'm reading through it. It's like, you know, I don't want to know if the truth is disappointing and ignorance is bliss, which is actually sort of Emu's storyline throughout a lot of the show up until the end. Mm-hmm. And I think that works, but I mean, at the same time, that's just the beginning of the song.
I think another thing we're kind of glossing over is that there are lots of songs and openings that probably wouldn't be the greatest for that show, but because of our personal, I don't want to say bias, but our personal tastes, we enjoy that song more than it's probably meant for that show. I mean, the Turbo theme song for Power Rangers
is so good. It's so top tier.
But
I mean, the show's not great.
I'm not talking about the show, but what it lies to us. Mighty engines roar, turbocharged. None of this is happening in the show. They're reading the fucking manual. But
we still all right, step one, your mighty engines gotta roar. Step two,
but they're talking about the song.
But it's still fun. It's still a fantastic song.
It is a great song.
It's okay, but getting to another thing that I think is a mark.
I'm just saying, at the end of the day, this will still come down to personal taste.
Yeah,
in music.
Oh, it always does, like everything in art. But another thing that I think a great opening should do is it's something that you can play in front of every episode, regardless of what the subject matter is.
Oh,
that's fair. But that's also hard.
It's going to be a thing.
This one is a lot harder to do than most. For obvious reasons, because, you know, every show is about different things, different tones, different episodes.
Yeah. Though, I mean,
that's something we're going to talk about.
If you think about it, anime gets away with that a fair number of times.
Mm-hmm. This is something that we're going to talk about a lot when we do our endings video. Mm. That's you brought up that point because tone is a thing. I feel like, especially for Toku, because they love to do this, if you're going to have that opening song better fit, because I love when in super dramatic moments, or like super triumphant moments in the show proper, and they play that opening over it.
Yep.
I love when they play that, like, Excite in X-Aid. Mm-hmm. The couple times they do that, especially during the end. Like, it better fit the moment. It better be hype. I better be ready to punch somebody in the fucking face at the end of it. I love, like, during that last fight in X8, when they were playing Excite over them fighting the big bad, it's so good. Because it felt like it was actually deserved. Up to, like, playing the opening at the end of your show is... I love it, usually, not Ghost. But I love it when they do it. It's so impactful when they do it correctly.
And then on the opposite side of the spectrum, I made this comparison in the review, but when you have something like Zyuohger, where you have this, where we have just experienced, you know, a possible death of a teammate, or forget Zyuohger, any show. If you have a super dramatic ending or a cliffhanger where our teammates could potentially, you know, be on the verge of defeat or have been defeated, and then we open up the next episode and we immediately jump into that theme song, that's not good. One thing that I think you could use as a workaround to that is if you open up with a little bit of a flashback first.
Oh, okay.
You show us a little bit of the scene, and then, like, you know, our heroes are looking at the villain who is standing over them triumphant, and it's like, oh no, is this really the end? And then we play the theme song. That can be a way of your audience going to be like, oh, hell no, they're going to fight back. They're going to get through this.
And it better be an instrumental version of that version played before the lyrics come in. Like, have that lead up. It's so good when you do it. I love that.
Sorry, I have thoughts, but they're regarding ending songs, so I have to wait until the next video.
Just speaking of moments like that, I think, you know, another very good one that ties in with the actual tone and the lyrics of the show proper, Deca Rangers. Deca Rangers is so damn good.
Yep.
It's my favorite Sentai opening. And it's withstood the test of time because it's just like, you know, 1, emergency, 2, Deca Ranger, 3, action, 4, perfect, 5, get on. I'm saying, like, when that comes on, let's go. I just love that song.
Would you say you're ready to go?
Yes. Ginga no. It's okay, Jasmine de Espadado.
Jasmine de Espadado.
Oh, it's so good. But yeah, when you have something like that, it's just like, we're going to tell you what we're about in the song. And God, I've been wanting to rewatch that Ranger. I really have been. I just love that show.
That feels like a perfect Toku 4A rewatch.
Yeah.
Because of its structure.
Yeah, it's so good. I just love it.
Another thing, well, speaking on Deca Ranger, and something that Sentai tends to do much more so than Kamen Rider is the pre-opening narration.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm pretty sure Gokaiger does this. So it's like, here we have the space pirates wanted throughout the galaxy, blah, blah, blah. Here they are searching for treasure. It's the Gokaigers. And then you hear that,
like Zero One has a thing, always has that opening thing about AI.
Yeah, RPM has that same thing.
Weirdly enough, Ghost did it after the song was over.
I never made it to the end of the song.
Ghost did it. That was one thing Ghost did that I always thought was kind of weird. Is allow me to explain, you know, what has happened.
Exposition.
Instead of putting that before the theme song, they always did it after, which I always thought was a weird choice.
It's like the actual opening of the show proper, because it's not a part of the song, but they always play it it's so closely attached to the song proper. So you're just in there like, what do I think? Because you're talking to you're just sitting here like, what if you didn't? Yeah. You're just like, some of them are just not great. And I think, you know, when they can't be told from generic anime opening number 4, a la Ghost, that's where the problem sort of ends up coming into, because it just sounds like so many other things. And it doesn't feel like it has anything to specifically tie to the show with.
Well, which brings me to my next point. Something that you bring up a lot, Marcus, and that's the singer.
Yes.
Marcus, I want to hear from you first. What do you think makes a good singer in Toku? Specifically for a Toku theme song, what grabs them about as good as you? I can't talk, I'm sorry.
You're doing okay. I'm just going to go back to X8 because having that introduction to Daiichi Miura, is just like, I went and searched for everything he ever did after I heard the X8 opening, just because something about his voice really resonated with me, and it felt like it fit the song that it was dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
It was just it's a good one that's just like a mix of R&B pop, a little bit of techno in there.
Mm-hmm.
It really just worked for me for him as a whole. Going to the next one, which is Builds, I don't like Beverly's voice.
Mm.
And something about her voice hits my ear wrong. I've said this about people, and I'll say this about songs. It's just like something about the voice just hits it wrong, and it really doesn't feel like her voice really fits that song.
Yeah.
And I can't really explain it as why. And, having somebody like Gact, I feel like that's just a little bit unfair because it
is kind of unfair because Gact is,
mega.
He's one of the biggest singers in Japan.
Yeah, it's just like I'm already really familiar with Gact just from other projects.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody like Deca Ranger is just like, I'm going to be hyped throughout the entire thing because that's what this show is about. Mm-hmm. You hate the Garo Ranger opening. I love the Garo Ranger opening. I think it suits the hell out of that song.
I will agree with you on that though.
Yeah,
I will completely agree because it's that gravelly forcefulness that I think does encapsulate what that show is about.
Yeah,
so, yeah, I will agree.
And just going back further, the Kamen Rider one, that song I listen to a lot of city pop. That's like one of my favorite genres.
Mm-hmm.
That one like encapsulates that period of the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Like for some reason that singer, I need to go look who the singer's voice is. Well, who just the singer is in general. But that one, it feels super 90s. Like it feels like the period that they're really reaching for.
Yes.
Because, they're in the early 90s. That was 93. And something about that is just like, that's great.
Tucci Chen?
Tucci Chen. That is a Chinese name.
Stage name of Takao Sushimi.
Oh, well, that could be why. But yeah, it's just like something about that and the fact that his voice really fits that song and the style and then the presentation of it. I just think he does a great job. Somebody like to sing the Die Ranger opening, not Zoo Ranger. And Jetman, the Jetman singer does his job so incredibly well because his voice sounds like it's flying.
It does. It does, and the underscore of the music really helps.
Yeah, it's like they're, the swells and the upswells of the song proper. You really just like feel like you're flying with the singer and his voice.
Mm-hmm.
That singer...
That was performed by Hironobu Kageyama.
That singer does amazing. I love when they get singers that really just end up matching what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Something like W's.
Yeah.
Something like O's. It's just like, I feel correctly about this.
Here's the thing. I feel like the Ghost sing. I feel like it works.
You know what I realized
I know you don't like it, but the singer for Ghost Opening, I feel like it works with what they were doing.
Oh, that group? Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm realizing that I prefer more opening sequences where it's less about showing stock footage from the show proper and more we get the actual singers putting on a performance.
What would you say?
Like W's?
Like W's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what is also a good thing, and this is more towards Rider because it doesn't happen as often in Rider than it does in Sentai.
Mm-hmm.
I want the song to be good in its own.
Yeah.
There you go.
It doesn't have to be attached to like whatever show it's being attached to. Like a lot of Rider ones, just like they don't really always end up saying the name of whomever the writer is.
That's another thing is, the ending of a theme song in Sentai, 99 times out of 100, they're going to say the name of the team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or at least say the name within the lyrics.
Or within the lyrics,
Yeah.
a couple times, if that.
Ultraman as well. Ultraman does the same thing.
Ultraman does this a lot.
Yeah. When you end up coming to something like...
But that's kind of the area of theme songs in general.
Mm. Oh, speaking of Ultraman, my point about openings that can play before any episode, I think Jeed and Mebius probably did that the best.
Agreed. I would also put Zeta in there.
Okay, I know you love that one.
I love that one.
You
It's
love
so
the Zet
good.
one.
The Zet one is great. It's just so hype.
But yeah, the openings for
I need to watch last night's
the
episode.
openings for Jeed and Mebius, I think in particular, the way the Mebius one is so like glowingly optimistic,
Yeah.
and presentational in the way that it's done. And the way the G'd one is, it's high energy, but it's like there is a sinister underlyingness to it, and it isn't like, big all the time.
Yeah.
It grows there naturally, I think, in a way that I think is really cool. So, yeah.
Yeah,
that
makes sense because, his daddy. But, I think one of the most important things to me is, like, how good is this song on its own? I feel like that's just, that's why I have a lot of the Rider ones downloaded, just because I really like the song by itself.
Mm-hmm.
And even for a lot of the Sentai ones, the only one that I own is Kaku Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
I owned Shinkengers for a while.
Yeah. I have the Kaku Ranger one. It's just like, something about that song is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even the Jetman one, I think that works, even though he said Jetto man. It's like, I feel like at that point, you could just translate it to just flying.
Mm.
Like, you're a flying person on a jet. I think that works as just a, solo song.
No, I get it.
Mm.
Yeah. It's just, with a lot of the Rider ones, they're easier because of the fact that you don't have insert name here in the song proper.
Except for something like O's.
Yeah.
Well, it's not expected with Rider.
It isn't expected, but I would say that it's definitely a bonus if they do, but I don't need them to.
Because did the Gaim opening ever say Kamen Rider Gaim?
No, but the band did change their name temporarily for that song.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's where we got that.
It happens.
They went from Shonan no Kaze to Gaim no Kaze.
That's kind of funny.
But yeah. Just going off of it, you've already heard what my absolute favorite ones are. What are the two of yours? Just like your favorite opening, just so, we'll get to the end of the video with this. Let's see if something else.
I don't know if I can pick one off the top of my head. I really don't know if I have one.
For Sentai, it's probably Shinkenger. I don't know why. I always end up going back to that one.
I guess if I were to break it down by show, I would say for Sentai it would be Gokaiger.
That's fair.
For Rider it would be O's. And for Ultraman it would be Mebius.
Yeah, for Ultraman, for me, it would actually end up being...
But we do have a top 10 Sentai openings video.
Yeah.
You watch that.
Don't know how much that's changed, though.
It is a couple years old, so you never know.
We should probably convert it to a tier list.
Probably at some point. But yeah, I feel like for Ultraman, it's Zets for me. It's like, I know it's the most recent one, but something about it is just so hype.
Mm.
For Sentai, it's going to be a tie between Kaku and Deca Ranger. Just because I just love both of the songs. And for Rider, it's going to be Decades. So, Gakt is unfair. I didn't make the rules.
But who did? Hi. Because they are incredibly fair and balanced.
So yeah.
Everything can be a DBZ of Brent preference.
I understand.
Except the Boo Saga. But yeah.
Ouch.
That's, what we end up thinking about openings. Please stay tuned because we will end up doing one for both endings and inserts.
I don't believe you.
It's happening. We're finally going to talk about the insert songs after years of people wanting us to talk about insert songs, but we won't be doing it in a tier list or a top 10.
Because that's
what everyone really wanted.
This is the best they're getting.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
This is
honestly, I like it better this way.
Yeah.
Me too.
Discussions are better.
But as always, follow us on all the things. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. And as always, we will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.